go. You nailed it, Dave. See? You go to Vegas, you haven't dropped a step right there, baby. All right, here we go. What is up, everybody? Welcome to 3 Men in the Basement. I'm your host, Otto, coming to you live and direct from the grotto. And that's right, we are 3 men tonight on this Wednesday night. We are so happy to be here. I'm going to introduce my cadre of characters before we get started. But as always, we are 3 Men in the Basement. 3 Men in the Basement are myself, Everett Otto, Roger Levesque, who cannot join us tonight. But that's okay because we got Dave in the cave right over here running the show. Back, baby. He's back in his cave. Dave, good to see you, man. Welcome back.
What's up, boys and girls? It's good to be back. Got a great guest, and I'm excited for this one.
Absolutely, absolutely. And without further ado, down there in the grotto in the basement, looks like he's in his own man cave. We have Greg, MTG Comics. Absolutely. Greg, say what's up to everybody. It's great to have you on the show tonight. Thank you for joining us.
What's up, guys? This is exciting. This is my first YouTube joining session, you know, like
this is your first appearance,
this
right?
Is exciting. I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, totally.
Don't worry about it.
This is a first full and maybe origin, you know?
Yeah, no, of course, dude. We're going to get your first full appearance. You're on the cover, and we're going to get your origin story all in one issue, man. You can't beat this. Oh. But guys, as always, before you do anything, please thumbs up this video. We always appreciate you guys doing that. Subscribe now. If you're not subscribed, I don't know what you're doing, how you're watching us. Hit that notification bell. And we always want to hear your comments below. Tell us what you like about it, what you dislike about it, and what you want to go see us do now. So without further ado, we've got some people tailgating, and I'm going to leave that up to Dave in the cave to tell everybody who's in the house.
Yes, Roger goes away, and I got to do the chat.
That's it.
We'll go all the way up to the top. So first in the building was Michael the Beast Benson Comics. We got Gene Malo in there. We got Lenny Cerna. We got Wookie Fodder 80. We have Michael Raphael from Spineworks. Lenny's from Spineworks too. We have Chinmo. Who else we got? We got Benny Beans, man from Beantown. What's going on, my dude? Back issue Paulie, Doug Bratton, Uncanny Swag, New Village Comics, Mr. Taz and Junior. I said Uncanny Swag.
Yeah.
Johnny Rosado, Mr. I Dream of Comics in the building. Jeff, Austin Irvin. What's up, Austin? What's going on,
Austin,
dude?
good to see you, man.
Yeah. Michael P. Comic Book Cannon in the building. And my chat jumped. So, oh no, I got it. Street Side Anthony in the building. What's going on, my dude? J2 Ramirez, Star Trek 101 Spock. And
we got a Trekkie in the house.
Future Specs. Thanks.
Wow, that is awesome. Guys, thank you very much for sharing this Wednesday night with us. And thank you very much for checking out all our videos. We just dropped the second part of our interview with Jim Shooter, where he had to speak about the death of Jean Grey and his first time working for DC. And so if you haven't watched that video, please go back and check that out. That was absolutely fantastic. And we got the Butch in the house. What's up, man? What's up? All right. So
up,
before we get started, there we go. Before we get started, we have a little bit of housekeeping. As you guys know, May 22nd, we are holding the 3 Men in the Basement comic swap. This is the largest event that we have hosted by far. We have just booked another big vendor, my boy, the Comic Barn. His name is Bob. He does lots of big shows. So not only will you have the Pressable Deffects, you'll have 3 Men in the Basement, you're going to have Street Side Anthony, you're going to have Richie's Comic Cabana, you're going to have Coffee and Comics, you're just going to have a ton of people at this show. I have the food truck booked for the day, I have the DJ, we're working on a trivia, the floor plan will happen. So by far, if you are anywhere in the Northeast and you're thinking, if you think 4 hours is too long, don't think about it, just make the drive. It's going to be a lot of fun, it's going to be a blast. So are we going to be hopefully more successes? Back issue Paulie, that was the biggest fail that I had at the last show. It was an absolute fail. You thought I was asking them for their last 4 of their routing number on their debit cards, man. Holy cow. And all I wanted to do was give away stuff, man. It was an epic fail, but that's okay. We're not going to talk about failures right now. We're going to talk about a huge success, and that huge success is Greg, Mr. MTG Comics. We're going to talk about how we started collecting, what he's doing now, what he has planned. So, Greg, thank you very much for joining us at 3 Men in the Basement. This is all of the above to your first issue. So, congrats for coming on with us.
I want to hear more about this food truck. What kind of?
Oh yeah, dude. No, it's a good one. It's a good one. It's called the Rolling Dish. It's got a little bit of Spanish American cuisine, and it's going to be there all day for the swap. So I was going to do the food myself, but it's too much to do. You can't do everything. So let's hand it off to some guys who do some good food.
The food truck. the food truck's awesome. We're thinking about renting like a icy truck for my daughter's birthday in June, and like I just found out about the show that you're running, and I just was off work for a shoulder injury, and I just went back yesterday. So I mean, it's like I work Saturday, so I can't be like, oh man, like I just was off for 4 months. I gotta call out on Saturday to go to a comic show.
Yeah, really.
But
Really, all
I
of a
mean, I
sudden
wish
you're
I
not
could
there.
make it.
No, that's okay, man. Well, you'll be there in
Yeah.
spirit with us, and that's awesome. So we appreciate that. Greg, you're on IG. You got over 2,000 followers. You're doing good stuff. Comic book collecting. You grew up in the Northeast, right? You're a Jersey boy, born and bred.
Yes, sir. Yes,
All
I grew
right,
up
all right.
in Bergen County, right in around Fort Lee. It's a town called Leonia. It's small. It's like
Okay.
it's next to Fort Lee, Englewood, Palisades Park, a lot more like Pagoda, a lot of more Teaneck, a lot of more well-known like places than Leonia is like this little town. But fun fact is Leonia is actually the town where Wanda and Vision lived once they got together. It's if you read issue 1 of Wanda and Scarlet Witch of their like limited series, it's one of the first on the first page, I believe it says, in a town called Leonia, New Jersey. So it's its little claim to fame. Yeah,
Jersey,
cool.
baby.
Dude.
Jersey, baby.
So,
What's up? Let's go.
That's it. That's it. So,
You're Bergen. Where are you? Bergenfield or where are you?
I'm in Union County.
But where are you in Hillside?
Yeah, Hillside. But I grew up in Bergen County my whole life. So.
Oh, okay. Where in Bergen County are you from?
I grew up in Little Ferry.
Oh, okay,
right
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's right next to like Richfield Park and Pagoda. So I know exactly where you're at. So
and Hillside, I work in Hillside a lot, so I know it. Maybe I'll run into you at like Clock. I go to Clockwork Comics sometimes, and
nice.
JC
That's
Comics. Yeah.
that's awesome. So, being up here in the North, being in Connecticut, so I'm the only guy that's not from Jersey right now. The inside joke is what exit? What exit? I guess that was a big Saturday Night Live joke. So it's pretty funny when you get to hear you guys talk about that. So Greg, we're going to talk a little bit about your origin story and how you started collecting comics, maybe your favorite character, maybe your favorite artist, your favorite writer. So, what first got you into comics, man? I mean, how old were you? Tell us all about it, man. What was the hook? What was the hook, man, that got you into this?
Honestly, and it's so funny because right now, I mean, I think it's kind of died down a little bit, but the cards, the Marvel Series 1 cards were what really hooked me. Yeah, so I mean, I started collecting the cards before the comics, and I think it was actually a great intro because you get the packs. You don't really know anyone yet, and I mean, I knew who Spider-Man was, I knew who Batman was,
Sure.
I knew I knew the basics, but you start getting into like more obscure characters, like off the top of my head, like Nightmare, like it's not a character you see or hear of every day when so like I knew like his stats and like stuff like that. As a villain, I was always into the villains, but the cards got me hooked. I would learn about their powers, their win percentages were on the back there.
Right on.
Their first appearances, which was what really like fascinated me, being like, oh, I want the first appearance of this, I want the first appearance of that guy, like.
Yeah.
So it was like all that info that you get kind of on, not the powers and abilities and all that, but like that kind of that CGC label information you get, So I thought that stuff. Yeah, that stuff always fascinated me, and then I got into I have an older brother, and he was collecting a little bit, and I guess my dad took us to A&S Comics, and I think the first run I really remember reading was the Infinity Gauntlet, and I mean we're a better place to start where you got them all, all in there.
Yeah.
So that was like it hooked me. I mean, I came in with the cards, and then I'm into like this mega storyline where everyone's joining together to face one big baddie, and it was just blew my mind, and it kind of had me hooked from there.
No, for sure. Now, but before you got into the cards, did you collect anything else? Did you collect your Matchbox cards? Did you collect like figures, or because collectors just don't they don't start at 10 years old. They always start somewhere else, right, Dave? Like there's always that little thing, like when you're a little kid, you're always trying to find something. So what was one of the first things you remember collecting?
I mean, I definitely was into Turtles toys.
And
that's been a boom too. And I mean, I'll zoom back there. I've got some like my little turtle section up there.
Right.
I got like a graded Casey Jones figure. Yeah, and so I got back into some of that stuff. So like I mean, I didn't keep them in the packages though, you know, like I was a normal human being, you know.
Yeah, right.
So I took them out, but but yeah, the turtles, I was into like real Ghostbusters, and I got into like the real, like when I started getting like real I guess anal about like my collection was I collected basketball cards. Then I started in, maybe like 4th grade or so, 5th grade, and then I started putting them in sleeves and started putting them in the top loaders and all that stuff. And so that was when I noticed I had a little bit of a affinity towards like keeping stuff in good condition, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm definitely in no way my wife always says, you know, like the neatest part of the house is that your comic room, the basement, you know, like you got clothes everywhere else, you know, you don't do anything much, you know, like, I like to think I do, but
sure.
Your comic room, you know, it's like flawless, you know, you just like, put like a glass of water down, you know, like.
Meanwhile, you got dishes in the sink. Come on, man. You know, I'm the same way. Dave's the same way too. I'm sure, man. You know,
facts.
Yeah, that's really.
But yeah, so with the collecting, it really started with the cards, and then those storylines, and I just, you know, when you're growing up, I think, and maybe it happens to you guys too, you kind of go in and out. You know, maybe you were in the hobby for, you know, a long time, and then maybe fell out of it for a couple years, and then sucks you back in, and you know, and then so it kind of ebbed and flowed. And I remember, because you were talking about favorite artist, I saw so throughout high school, you know, I was into wrestling, so I was watching wrestling and stuff like that. But then I saw Hush, Jim Lee, my senior year of high school, or junior year. Jim Lee came out with the Hush, the Batman.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And the art, so the art on that really like blew me away. Like I loved Jim Lee stuff. I didn't, you know, when I was a kid, and you know, in '91, I didn't really know like artist names and stuff like that as much. But when I got older and started looking into this stuff a little bit more, the Hush run really got me back into collecting.
Yeah, you know, I bought a collection almost 2 summers ago, and it had the whole Hush run in it, and I sold it. And I regret it because I went back and read it digitally, and I'm like, son of a gun, now I got to go back and buy it again because I just thought it was fantastic, man. You know, like that was a really, really cool storyline, and the Jim Lee Batman was just fantastic. So really, really neat stuff. Yeah,
the art is really great. Recently, I picked up a 9/8 of the second print, you know, where he's kind of like he's on the he's perched, you know, on the end of the building. Yeah. And Michael says it's his favorite. Yeah, it's a great storyline. Jim Lee, I'm picking up books from Jim Lee left and right, like Wolverine covers, stuff that, you know, that's kind of what I'm specking on a little bit, like just really good covers, because I just love his art. And like people love McFarlane, you know, you get a cover just because you get a book just for the cover when it comes to Todd sometimes, you know what I mean? It's just so mind blowing.
Right. I know, we're all different kinds of collectors. You know, I'm a Silver Age guy. I'm a completist when it comes to my Silver Age stuff. I buy the bronze books, things I enjoy. Dave is a Spider-Man completist. He'll tell you high ratio, low variance. I mean, you know, you go any place with Dave, you just got to find the Spider-Man section, and that's where Dave is digging. You know, I mean, it's no joke where he's going after, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, Greg, actively, your collection now consists of Jim Lee stuff, like, first, let's take it back. When did you get back into this and say, all right, I'm full blown back into comic book collecting? Was it 4 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago? Give us an idea.
I mean, it's just gone through different phases. You know, I like
right on.
Sell anything. So so I've been at Comcast. I'm a technician. So I've been, you know, there was a time where I think when I first started back there again, I was riding out with when I was training, I was riding out with a tech, and his name's Jose, if he's watching, and he didn't want me riding out with him at all. Like, this was a guy that's been there, you know, like he's this, you know, like kind of puts on a tough front, you know, guy, and he's, you know, I'm the new guy, so I'm riding along with him.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like the end of the day, I feel like I'm being annoying, you know, like I'm like, you know, I'm the new guy and he's been there about, you know, a few years and he doesn't want some guy tagging along with him. And then I think we're on the way back and I bring up, I think I brought up comics in some extent to like Secret Wars 8 we were talking about. Like I was like, yeah, recently, you know, I don't know, for fun, I pick up comics. He was like, oh, his demeanor totally changed.
Did it
was
really?
like a different person. He heard me bring up comics and he was like, it was like the sun came out, you know, and like at night. And so then I mean, now he doesn't leave me alone. We've been friends now for 10 years.
Yeah, right.
No, but it's great. We start so I didn't a lot of my friends growing up didn't collect comics, so I got kind of back into it when I started talking with him a lot, and like we, you know, he kind of fueled the flame, like rekindled the fire that was kind of the pilot light, and then I started collecting again, and that's when I got back into real collecting. But then the selling happened. I was at you know, I go inside and outside of houses a lot, so I'm always thinking like, man, maybe one day I'll hit you know, someone selling some books.
Yes,
you know, that's the dream,
huge.
right?
Yes, right.
And,
that's like the.
So yes, exactly. So you know, I'd see stuff on sometimes, you know, there were definitely houses I went into where, you know, there were former like card store owners and stuff like that. But one time I came across like someone who had like all their books from their attic, and they were just like, I'm just trying to sell these. And I had, you know, I couldn't even focus on what I was there to do.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I mean, it caught my eye. I was just there and like, I'm looking around. And I'm training someone too at that time. So it's funny. So that guy was kind of like waiting for me to do something. He sees me looking and he's like, oh, you know comics? I'm like, yeah, that's a Daredevil 7 right there. I see it sticking out.
No
I can
way.
tell, like, you know, and that was like a book I was looking for at the time. So I actually wound up buying that Daredevil 7 for him on the spot. And then I went back and bought like a bunch of stuff. And I was, you know, like, I think I'm going to try to sell some of these, you know, to like fund the ones that I bought for him that I want to keep, kind of to offset that. And and then so I started selling those, and then I just was like, wow, this is like a lot of fun. I want to find more collections and do more stuff. You know, collections are hard to find, but it kind of started from there. So it was all different phases, like, you know, meeting up with certain people and just fate, kind of, you know, like walking into a house one day and just seeing this collection. I probably wouldn't be on with you guys right now if I didn't get that job assigned to me that day. You know what I mean?
Sure. I do. I definitely, you know, I'm one of these people that I believe things happen for a reason, and the universe puts you in positions that you just have to seize the day. And, you know, you were there for a reason, and that caught your eye. Now, were they just like long boxes in a guy's attic? Because, you know, one of the things that I always like to say is I love to be a picker. I love to go digging. If you tell me that there's something somewhere, I'll go look for it, you know. But again, the opportunities are few and far between. However, you know, in the past few years that I've been actively collecting, we have gotten some references and we've gotten some good stuff, and a lot of them have been busts. But were they just like were they bagged and boarded? Were they raws? Like, you know, were they
nothing was bagged, nothing was boarded. No, they were in an attic, like, and they had taken them down, and I think he was like, yeah, my sister just wants these out. We're trying to sell them.
God.
Like, and I didn't have much money, you know, then to do stuff, you know, so I was like, let me come back, you know, like, and I'll see what I'll pick out some, but yeah, I mean, I had to go through piles, and, you know, there was at that time, this was maybe like 3 years ago. There was probably stuff I missed, you know. There was definitely stuff I couldn't take. I couldn't take everything. I just didn't. I didn't have it, you know. Like we had just moved. We had just bought a house, so we were, you know, it was just like that's where the money was going right now. But and it was the first time I had ever done anything like that. We had done like an estate sale thing once, and I hated it, man. I hated going there. I had to wait online and get like a ticket, and everyone's running to the same two long boxes, and like it's clearly cherry picked. And I was like, I'm never doing this again because, you know, like I took a half day of work, and I thought I was gonna, you know, it was like right when Deadpool, like New Mutants 98 was really big. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna find a New Mutants 98. No one's gonna know about that. I'm gonna, you know, and I get there and there's like 15 people there for comics, you know, so it just didn't work out. So like I stepped in, you know, proverbial dog poop with this house that I walked into, and nothing was bagged and boarded. It wasn't in great shape, but, you know, I sold a lot of it on eBay, and, I put everything on auction. I just let it go. I didn't want to price it because, like I wasn't even like a big like grading at that time, like comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So I kind of just let them all ride, and they did well. And I was like, man, this is a lot of fun. I need to start selling stuff. And I started that's how I got into it. I started selling stuff to fund more stuff from my personal collection.
Right. We all know that. I mean, we run auctions here on 3 Men in the Basement, and typically we get the money, and Dave, the next day we're buying something else, right?
The money doesn't even touch my hands. It's that fast. Just like bang, gone. So
one hand and out the other, But hey, that's the thrill of it, man. And I always say, and Dave knows this, and Roger know, I always say that I've been doing this. Obviously I took a lot of time off, but I'm a product of the '80s. I'm a few years older than you guys, but to me, this isn't a marathon. I mean, to me, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. Mm-hmm. Am I saying that right? It's a marathon. Yes. It's the long-term play that you're going to enjoy it. And you know what? You might not find that book right away, but eventually you'll find it, and you work hard enough, you dig long enough. And sure, you could go on eBay. And I say this all the time, you go on eBay, you can buy it, put on your credit card, whatever. You don't have it, but that's not me. You'll find it for a good deal, or you'll move something in order to fund that. And I think that's important. And I think at this stage in the game, for myself, and I know Dave will agree with me, the books we're buying aren't $20, $50 books. You have to, I mean, I'm not sitting on any extra money. I'm a teacher, and I work a part-time job. So I'm not anybody special, but I have to sell stuff in order to get stuff. And that's part of it too, though,
Absolutely.
the working out of it. So that's really neat. So you've got your collection, you've got a lot of turtles. I can see a killer Spider-Man book back there. What is your PC consist of?
Piggyback on what you just to piggyback on what you were saying though, is don't underestimate the value of upgrade of buying low and chipping away and upgrading. Get a 3.0.
Yep.
It'll right now that 3.0 will be more expensive, and then flip it. Then get the 5.0 and then flip that. I have an FF 4865 and I think I started with a 3.5. You know what I mean?
Yeah, did you really? Okay.
You just got to work your way up. Same thing with a 181. Yeah. So don't put yourself. I mean, some people maybe I know it's fun to go on Instagram and share your stuff and want to get clout and brag about what you have, but just be proud of what you have, what you work for, and really, if you put your mind to it, I think you can really get anything out there. You just gotta work for it, and you gotta just get creative.
Sure, words of wisdom. That's very true. Dave, you've been doing that with your 129, right?
Yeah,
I'm at ASM 129.
I'm at a 6.0 right now. I started at a 3.5. I've done that with my 300. I started at an 8.0. I'm at a 9.4 now. So it's just you're almost building equity into that new book where, if you're going after, a 9.6 ASM 300, God knows what that is right now. But if I sell my 9.4, that's less money than I'm pulling out of my pocket. And that's a win every day of the week.
So hell yeah, for sure. I definitely believe that. And I see that. It was funny when we were at the con this past weekend at the Old School Comic Show. One of the books that I covet is my Spider-Man annual, one of the first appearance of the Sinister Six. I have it in a 3.5. I paid a fair coin. I paid fair market value for it 2 years ago. Obviously, it's gone up. But I knew a dealer that had a 4.5, and I brought it with the intention of trading, and I had a dollar amount that I was going to spend in order to get the 4.5. But I will be honest with you, I compared them, and I sat there and I perseverated on it. I looked at it. I showed it to Erod. I went back and forth, and I said, you know what? That 4.5 might have been a gift grade on this. But my 3.5 presents a lot better. So, you guys will probably see that also, especially in the live chat. The grade is the grade, and that's important, but it's also how well it presents. And Greg, do you see that in collecting for you?
Yeah, I try my best to buy the book and not the grade. I am pretty, there are little, certain things I look for in a book that I want in my PC. Like for instance, I don't love when the wrap folds around the back. I don't mind if a little white folds around the front as long as it's straight. I sound like a psychopath. Some people don't even look at this stuff, but I don't like when the wrap goes around the back. I'm not a big fan of cream pages, stuff like that. That's just if I'm going to spend a lot of money on a book. That's kind of the stuff I look for. But yeah, I definitely, if it comes to an 8.5 or a 9.0, if I think the 8.5 presents better, I'm gonna get it and save money on that. And that's, and that's what I'll get. I won't, in the end, it's just the number. Like you said, it could have been a gift grade, or the grader could have been, in the best mood of his life that day and been like,
right.
You know how it is.
Yeah. No, trust me. Like,
or you could have a 6.0 go to a 9.8.
Yeah, right. How did that happen? My God.
I don't care. I got a 9.8.
Is that a true story?
Oh, that's a true story. Yeah. So Dave, just, for everybody in the live chat, we've got a great story. It's going to be story time with Dave in the cave right now. Real quick, Dave, tell the story. It's unbelievable how it happened. It was wrong. It was wrong. That grade was wrong, but it's okay. Go ahead, Dave.
Basically, I mean, it's an ASM 4, the Ramos variant. I thought it looked clean. I mean, again, who knows? But subbed it in. At a minimum, I thought the thing was coming back like 9.4, 9.6. Comes back at 6.0. I have a panic attack live on YouTube. I hate to say Dave, but I got a video of Dave. He's like this, ready? And then he goes, like, just, you could see it, just like the life just drop right out of him. It was, I went whiter than I already am. And so I end the video. I am raging. I smashed the case open. I looked at it, and I was just pissed. But the fine work's over at Spineworks. So shout out Lenny, shout out Michael. Sent it off. They worked their magic and came back 9.8. So
unbelievable
wins, baby.
That's a win, baby. That is a total win.
Great. So Otto, you said you think the 6.0 was a mistake?
Yeah, I think it was a mistake. I don't know what it could have been. I've had a situation where we've submitted some books and 2 books got flip-flopped, I believe. You know what I mean? That doesn't really happen quite often, but I you know what I mean? To see Dave, to see the disappointment in his face, and then to have it come back, and it's wrong. Like, there's no possible way, man. There's no possible way. So you just got to wait a little longer. So, and that's what he did. So
that's fine.
He got his due deserves on it.
Yeah.
I had a question for you. You used once you were on my page and you used a hashtag that I found interesting, and I forgot to ask you what it meant. Comic linear.
Yes, right.
Comic linear is. You said the hashtag comic linear is too good on this one. It was like 2 bucks.
Yes,
and they were the same grade.
Correct. Right. So this is something, and my boy, who's not on Instagram, he's got one post. His name is Unimatrix Mono. So comic linear started with books that are relevant to each other, all in the same grade. So, for example, like one of the books 2 books that I have are, let's say, X-Men 120 and 121. Right. I went to a show one time and I had them raw, very important books, First Appearance of Alpha Flight, big important books in my growing up. And I went into the show and the dealer had both of those books in the same grade. Okay. In the same grade. So I looked at him and I go, yep. You don't see that often. And to hunt that, I'm not going to find it anymore. So I bought it right off the bat, so you have, and they just look better when they're all in the same grade. All right. Another one that I have that's very linear is my, the ASM 299, 298, 299, 300, and 301. I have them all in a 9.4. Sure. I'd love them all in a 9.8, but how else am I going to find those 4 books? And I had to work for that though. I totally worked for that. I bought, I sold, I held off, and I made them all look. So then, when you put them, I'm crazy, I'm out of my mind. So when I display the stuff, it all has the same number all the way across. So that's the linear collecting. If you have something of relevance, right, that have something that tie in with each other, when they're all the same grade, they look so much better, right, Dave? Come on, Dave, help me out.
I hate Otto for this so much because he's made me do it now, where I'm like, I think my 1 and 200 Ditko remastered ASM books, they're both 9.6s, and so I get the one, I pop it up, I show it's a 9.6, and in the back of my mind already, I just displayed the one book, and in the back of my mind, I'm going, oh, I hope the other one's a 9.6 because it's going to be linear. So Otto, I hate you for making me do that, but no, it does look a lot nicer.
It does.
It's dangerous. Your OCD starts to get the best of you when you're collecting. You gotta realize sometimes. But that's great, because I've definitely, back to that hashtag, I've definitely seen stuff and it's replayed in my head, like, and I've been like, oh, I don't know, it's not too common linear. So I think
yeah. Thank you very much
there,
for that.
you know?
I appreciate that. That's good, man. You know, like
Oh,
back here. I don't know if I don't have. You can't see it. I displayed it on my Instagram. I just completed. Thanks to shout out to Very Gary. X-Men 140 and 141 and 142. The Days of Future Past. My 141 came in at 8.5, which isn't an expensive book. But again, you know, I wanted the 142, so Gary gave it to me at a great price. So now I have both of those, and I displayed them back here. Both 8.5s, great grades for that book. More importantly, great storyline. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's important. So I love the linear aspect of it. And you know what? It makes it fun because, you know, you might have the 5 that you want the 5.5 in, and then you can just move around. Or if you find it, you can find it. So I just think that that's a lot of fun. And that's one of the things that I do. And Greg, how long ago did you get an Instagram, man? You got 2,000 followers. Did you get into Instagram to a friend, or how did Instagram pop up?
So like I said, I mean, I had an Instagram, you know, I think I started like I have a personal one for, you know, like my friends. So I have two followers on that one, you know. No, so like I wanted to start sharing some of my comic stuff, and you know, I didn't have any, you know, looking back, you know, it was pretty modest. I didn't have much. I had like an X-Men 266, and at the time, you know, I had 2 roommates, and that was like it's a great book. It is still a huge book, but for me, like I wanted to share stuff like that, you know, and I was like, man, like you know, like these people don't care about my comics that follow me that I went to high school with, you know what? So I started my own thing. I had a different hashtag, you know, I started following people, and I wound up, I think, following Gem Mint, and I started, you know, messing, you know, with his stuff, and then I'm, you know, I think I switched over to I created a different name after that. Like I was like my pet's name first, and then I was like, this makes no sense. You know, it has nothing to do with comics. I'm gonna make it like NJ Slabs or something. I did, and I got some more followers, and then I started this Facebook group called Making the Grade, and we you know, grade comics and help the community with, you know, people will submit a raw book, and they'll look at, you know, help each other look at it and get a bunch of different eyes on it, and we'll guess the, you know, help guess the grade, you know, essentially. And so I changed. I was like, all right, well, let me transfer this over to that comic page that's doing nothing on Instagram, MTG Comics, Making the Grade Comics. And
Gotcha.
I have like a silent, yeah. So it kind of just transferred over from there, and then I started the stuff, you know, the Instagram consignment stuff that I'm doing. And it just took off from there, you know, like it was right before COVID. And I was like, man, like I chose like a really bad time to kind of start doing this stuff. And it was just the opposite. As you know, the market's like completely different now than it was, you know,
pre-COVID.
Before COVID, it's like, you know, but the followers, they just come in, and it's great. I appreciate everyone that follows me, you know, like, you know, I do a lot of reposting and stuff of the same stuff on there. So, you know, followers come and go, but you know, it's great networking. I've met guys like, you know, you guys on there through the page and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just growing, and I love it.
I love it. So the Making the Grade on Facebook, for those of you guys, that's still a live page, right? You can still go on that and join that.
Yeah, that's growing pretty rapidly, and yeah, that's like, it's not a non-buy sell trade page, but you go on there. Let's say you have a robot, you know, has a few defects on there. You're not really sure where it falls. You're new. I get a lot of people that are new, and they just want to kind of figure out. And the community will jump in and be like, well, you got like a long, you know, color breaking crease there that can't really be, it could be flattened, but it can't really be pressed out.
Sure.
You know, because of that, it probably falls within like the 7.0 range. You know.
Gotcha.
You know, VG range, something like that. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of stuff like that. So, but also there's, you know, comic talk and just general, you know, stuff, but it's mainly focused on grading. Thank you, Michael. That's very kind.
There you go. It does take the Lord's work to do it. So that's neat. You know, it's funny. I started on Instagram first before I went over to Facebook, and I thought it was, you know, you almost for networking. It seems like there's more people in the Facebook groups, but I think the Instagram community is much tighter, if that makes sense. And I view Facebook as real estate to kind of branch out to reach everybody, but I am much more friendly with all the people that I support on Instagram, or the people I follow on Instagram. The people on Instagram become my good friends, to be honest with you, whether it's a private chat or you meet up, and it's just been really good. So I think that's a lot of fun, and good, man. You're a great part of the community, man. I'm glad you're here.
Definitely
man. I'm glad you're here to Grotto.
Oh, thank you. You guys too. It's funny because watching you guys, from afar, when like I said, I joined, I had one of those, before I was MTG Comics, I had a page that had like no followers, but I was following all you guys for a long time. So it's just funny, to kind of meet and talk to everyone now, so yeah, it's been great. I definitely agree. The Instagram community is just a lot tighter. The vibe is just more positive. Like the energy is just better. And you go on Facebook and look, nothing against Facebook, but I just find the environment to be a little more negative. It just seems like people are a lot more willing to not be kind on Facebook for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. You're right.
That is.
Yeah, and we're not going to dwell on that, but it's like, you post something and somebody's like, "Oh, yeah," it's bizarre. But no, I agree with you on that.
Yeah,
but now
it just
listen,
seems like it's an easier outlet. But yeah, I know what you mean.
For sure. But now listen. So as of recently, in the past 2 or 3 weeks, you guys have been seeing this logo of a giant gorilla that's coming to fruition. So look at this incredible logo, King KON, and Greg. This is your baby gorilla. So tell us what King KON is, and we have some details about it, and we can talk a little bit about it. So you decided to have a con. Why in the world would you do that, man? I mean, like, nothing. You got enough going on. So
I don't know. I just So I mean, I kind of just get into this mentality. Like, I've done it in the past with other things not comic related. Like, I don't want to, I'm not bragging, but I ran the New York Marathon in 2014. So after I ran the marathon, I kind of got this like marathon type mentality where I was like, wow, like what if I applied that mental like stability you need to run a marathon and applied it to like something at my job. And, so I kind of, because I feel like, when you're running a marathon, as hard as it is physically, so much of it is mental, because you could easily just be like, I want to stop.
Yeah, right.
17 miles is great. I could just stop, but you got to get to the finish line,
17 miles, I'd be dead. I'd be dead after 7.
So I applied to it at some stuff at work, and, you just kind of get to that, like, look, I could run a marathon. I could get to this level where I want to be at work. And I kind of hit that. And then I was like, let me kind of apply this to like the comic game, because I really want a 181, everyone wants a 181. Yep. It's, one of those things now. And it's just like, I mean, it's a different animal right now, but, so I kind of applied that same method to it, and got one, and, got some big books, like giant size, back before it was crazy, ASM 129. Next step was kind of creating the IG page. I really want to do that. Like, I'm going to make it happen. And I want to be, one of the, I want to be a contender kind of type thing. And then it came to the point where I was off, with the shoulder injury, and, it popped in my head, like, man, like, what if I started running my own show? Like, if I did a show, like, I've been going to shows, but what if I hosted a show? And then once that little seed planted, I know myself. I said it to my wife. I'm like, hey, what if I did a show? How would that go? She's like, well, I already know now you're going to do it. So you said it.
Nice.
So because she knows that, once I kind of, she was a little like, oh man, this is gonna, because you're already busy enough, you know what I mean? And,
right, like, go ahead and do this now.
So
right,
I have a yeah. So I have a partner, Mike, Com Comics. Shout out to Com Comics, and he's kind of been my like rock, basically, along this, like, if I'm ever feeling like, he's been really supportive. So it's meant a lot. He kind of gave me, the first few things to sell for him. And I was like, look, like, if he helped me start the Facebook page. He was like, yeah, sure. Like, I'll help out. I'll get you some people. He's got connections. He sets up at Wayne and all these New Jersey shows. So I'm like, hey, if you want to do a show, like, do you think like it would be something you'd be interested in? He's like, yeah, sure. So
Okay.
he's helping out kind of with like good with the math stuff, like the measurements and all that, while I'm making all the connections on Instagram and stuff like that. And I think our big plan is, I mean, it's ambitious, but I'd love to, get this whole plan where it's like King Kong invades so-and-so, like maybe, one day, like, next, maybe Long Island, maybe Boston, maybe Maryland, like some, maybe Florida, you know what I mean? Yep. So I'd love for that to happen. So I'd love to have this show kind of just pop around, like people love this industry is not going anywhere. Disney Plus shows are not slowing down. Mm-hmm. New collectors are coming in at all times. Would it hurt to have a new show that's popping up in different cities and that people can get together that has a name, behind it? That's just where I'm thinking right now. And maybe
that's a good place to think.
I have a lot of other stuff going on, but
you need that.
How it started and where it is.
Yeah. You need that. You need that drive. I mean, we have done like 3. We're hosting this is our 4th swap, which, you could picture every way, but this was something that started with, hey, let me get 20 guys of the Instagram community come around and try to sell some books. And the next thing you know, we got 40 guys. The next thing you know, we got 60 guys. And now we have this biggest one. We've done the 3 Men in the Basement comic crawls where, you just go to certain stores and you say, all right, let's get 20 guys to go to 3 different comic shops or 4 different comic shops. And it is ambitious, but you know what? It's worthwhile, man. So I give you all the credit in the world for taking that on and, coming to fruition. And you got a great logo. And let's talk about your location, Dave. Can you bring up that banner, that right there? So you got your date. You got your location, you got your times, but while we have the logo up, tell us about the Holiday Inn and just a little bit the details on this. So
this first show, we're being, I wanted to get vendors in the area, but also give vendors an opportunity to set up, like people that I reached out to on Instagram and stuff like that. So basically, I was just, I'm really familiar, and I really like those shows that are, they feel old school, like a hotel, at a Holiday Inn. Right. That's what I used to go to as a kid. I feel like a Hilton and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I was like, let me go to the local one. I pull in. Right when I pulled into that one in Clark, I'm like, man, this parking lot is huge, awesome. And so I walk in, I speak to the lady. She's like, oh, yeah, we did a show here before COVID, and it rocked the house. It was awesome. And I'm like, all right.
Really?
She was like super pumped about it and super supportive. So we had the ball, we rented the ballroom. Then we booked that real quick with vendors. And then there's a room down the hall that we booked, and now that's full. And, fingers crossed, maybe if, we could add another one, but I'm not sure. I don't want to say that's official, but we'd like to maybe add a 3rd room, but this is going to be like, book heavy. It's going to be like, all vendors, it's right now.
No root beer trucks, no root beer trucks.
No, not this time. No. I don't want to get in over my head. I want it to be a
no, you don't want those. No, you don't want those.
Do well Yeah. So, I mean, I'd love a food truck. I'd be out there, eating, but
but you got to hold. So I'm sure you have a restaurant and a bar in there. So yeah.
Future space.
There is. Yeah. She was like, do you want to work something out with? She's like, do you want to work something out with the dining room or whatever? And I was like, we'll get to that later. We have some time left. But there might be an option for like food being there on the premises, but
sure. Everybody will survive, I'm sure.
Serious, like for serious buyers, serious sellers, like if you want to come dressed up, that's fine, but it's not like, we're doing a cosplay contest or anything like that. And then maybe, this is how we want to start it. And then going forward, maybe we'll add like an artist or two, or like, we were talking earlier, maybe be able to submit to CDC or something like that. So we want to just have it happen organically and not do anything that's going to make it feel like it's unorganized or discombobulated. Sure. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's the last thing you want to do. So
Benny Beans, what a great idea.
Yeah. Team up with a brewery. There you go. Oh man, that would be just nuts.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of breweries too around this area, but I don't know.
Yeah, right. Well, there you go. You got to keep it, you got to have the work first and then you have the fun. But we did have a list of all your vendors up to date, and we'll go over them real quick. So this is as of today. You've got Com Comics, you've got Very Gary, we know who he is. Erod 212, your Presses Presser, he'll be set up. Absolute Comics and Statues, Kyle's Comics, Bob's Collectibles with our good friend Ex-Illusionary, big fan, and Jared Conforti, NRG Comics, Smash Crash Comics, SMCB Sales, Johnny Mac Collectibles, and Search Boogie Comics. Those, I know a few of those names from Instagram. Obviously, I know Very Garrett, Erod very well, and Ex-Illusionary. But the other guys, local guys to you, or friends of friends, or how did that come about?
So yeah, some of them, like I said, some of them are just local vendors that have set up maybe a couple times, and other guys haven't set up, but have like a lot of inventory that I just have networked and come across, and they've been like, this is a great opportunity for me to set up. So that's the cool thing about this show, is there's going to be, I think, a lot of people there that will surprise people, like how, like, hey, I've never heard of this guy, but he's got awesome stuff,
Okay.
And a huge inventory. And like the SMCB Sales, it's like he lives a town over, and I ran into him because I bought books from him off Facebook, and he wound up being this huge like buyer and seller that really just does stuff on eBay. And he was like, hey, I'd love to set up and move a lot of my inventory this way. And he's never set up at a show, maybe not for 20 years or so is what he said, but
wow,
it's a lot of stuff like that, and so yeah, there's a lot of opportunity here for new vendors. It's as great as the vendors are that we see often, I think this is a good chance for new people to come in and get some recognition.
Yeah, and that's important too. And that was one of the whole things about the swap too, because I know Dave's sitting on inventory, I'm sitting in on inventory. eBay just sucks right now. We do like short boxed, but the actual wheeling and the dealing of the selling the books, that's a lot of fun. Dave, you agree with me on that?
Oh, wholeheartedly. I would rather sell a book on Instagram than eBay.
Yeah, right. For sure, man. For absolute sure. So now, while you were planning this, I know I've never been a big AppleCon. I don't know too much about it. I know the promoter. I know who he is. I don't know him personally or whatever, but we'll leave that for everybody else's comments in the chat. But oh
boy.
But did you plan it that way? Or did you just schedule it, be like, oh, well, it is what it is, and we'll just roll the dice and figure it out?
While I don't like to ever back away from competition, I did not go. I'm not a person that goes and be like, hey, I'm gonna mess that guy.
Yeah, right. No, I get that. But
yeah, no, I didn't. I thought it was a good date. It was. I wanted enough time to plan it. New York Comic Con, kind of, I guess it looks like it's happening. I'm not really sure what's going on. I don't know if there's selling tickets or whatever, but that's like yet. The second week. That's like the second week of October, I guess, possibly, and then before that it's Labor Day and a couple of the holidays that are around that time. So this seemed like a good date, and then I'm at a show and Erod comes up to me and he's saying he wants to get another table or something like that, and then he's like, oh, but that Big AppleCon is that same day, and I'm like, what? I didn't know that. And then I walk over to my partner, and he's like, oh, he's like, well, F him, like, fine.
Yeah, right. No, I get it.
At this point, that's what it's going to be. And it's not, like, hey, look, there's plenty of vendors out there. There's plenty of comics, for everyone out there. So, some people that I asked had already committed to them, and that's fine. And, we're the underdogs, I guess, but I think we're going to blow it out of the water, No,
I think so too, man. You've got a great plan. You've got enough people on your side. You've got a lot of great people in the community. No, Jay is killing it right now in the chat. So, but yeah, and I think that's a good thing. And you know what, though? It is good for newer vendors to meet different collectors, because a lot of people have a lot of great books, and, a lot of people don't have that show. We have a local show up here, and it's at a VFW hall in a local town, and it typically is the same dealers. But what I like to do is when I go to this show, and it's once a month, and a lot of the same guys, whenever I see a new vendor, I know that guy has stuff that hasn't been circulated. I will search those guys out more so than ever, because those are the guys that have been sitting on inventory, been waiting for a chance to sell, have been stocking up, and are ready to move. So, you want to talk about, it's a little bit of comic wisdom and comic knowledge. That might be something for everybody else to think about. When you go to your local shows, go to the guys that you don't see there quite often, because those might have the books to move. And I did that last time, and man, I got some good deals. So very important. So kudos to you, man, for helping out, the little guy. And we love the underdog story, man. That's the best part,
Yeah,
So, very
I also
exciting.
like I like to come across as I like to come across as approachable. So anyone that reached out to me, I'm always like, thank you so much for even considering, wanting to set up. Like, let's work something out. I'm not ever wanting to be someone that's like, oh, well, what's your name? Like, what credentials do you have? I'm just like, I'll ask basic questions like, do you have inventory? Because like, the tables are like 8 feet, but I'm just happy that anyone would want to set up there at this point. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So a lot of people I reached out was from networking on Instagram, and there's no way I could have just set this up without having connections and having an IG page for the last year and a half.
Yeah, right.
So I think this is just the next step in kind of where I want this to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you now, just a little forward thinking, not to stress you out at all or anything like that, but ticket wise, are you going to sell tickets at the door? Are you going to pre-sell them? Have you thought about that at all? Or early bird? I saw that you're going to do an early bird kind of thing.
Yeah. So the person I'm organizing with, Mike, he today he messaged me, and I think we're gonna start doing some early bird where you could pre-order early bird tickets. And I've got to print some out, and we're gonna figure it out. We're not doing any kind of like online form. We don't have the time to really develop like a website where you order tickets on there. But I'll probably post something where I'll be like, hey, contact me if you want early bird tickets. We're gonna figure out how many. It's in the works. I don't want to say
it's in the works, right. Of course, and you have a lot of time though. That's important. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's there.
Yeah, so you do have a lot of time, but it is going to come up quicker. But that's something to know, and I'm sure you'll be posting and letting everybody know. But that is interesting to hear. So
that is coming. The early bird tickets will be available for pre-sale. They're $15. We just have to get them. And I have like a design I'm working on for them and stuff like that. So I want it to be like, hey, if you come there, they're prepaid. You just hand it to me, and that's that.
Yeah, dig it.
Or whoever's collecting at the door. That's the next thing too. I'm trying to figure out the whole ticket booth situation.
Yeah, your logo, your King KON logo. That looks very familiar. Who did that? Can I ask you who did that?
Alex Garcia.
Yeah, we know Alex.
Yeah. All right. Yeah,
Alex is the man.
I messaged him. Yeah, I messaged him, and I was like, "Hey, I need a logo. I'm coming up, with a show." And he's like, "How quick do you need it?" And I was like, "Man, I'd love to start, putting it out there, at least by the weekend." And he was like, "That's really quick." And I was like, "Yeah, I know if you're really busy, like I get it, it's fine." And then he was like, "I'll get you a sketch by tomorrow," or something like that. And I was like, right. Fine, that's great.
Yeah.
Alex is awesome.
So yeah, he rocked the house. It was awesome. I didn't know what really to expect. I just kind of gave him an idea, and he knocked it out of the park. And I was like, he's holding comics. We just got to make them recognizable. And so he put a 181 on the front. And then if you look closely, if you have like an HD image of it, you could blow it up. Yeah, but so if anyone ever wanted to take a screenshot of that, or if you have the logo, if you blow it up, there's the book on the furthest part of the back is a giant size. The book behind 181 is you could see the exclamation point. It's a 129.
I was going to say I could see the yellow in it. I could see the yellow in it. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's dope.
So he didn't have to do. I didn't say like make. I just like have him hold comics, maybe a 181. He went into such detail that I was like, wow, that's like he really like puts love into his work like that. He didn't have to do that, but that's great.
Yeah, when Alex did all of our logos, it just absolutely blew us away. Like he did me in the karate chop and like the 9/8, because I love to do the karate chop. And then like even with Roger's logo, with his ASM 300, he's got like the Canadian flag in it. And even look at Dave's with his hat on backwards and just the way he did it. So Alex is just
I got McFarlaneized.
Yeah,
yeah,
Alex has just been a great guy, and we're very, very fortunate to have a guy like Alex on our side. So, man, you got a great logo, and you know what, dude, that's a keeper, man. You know what? The best part about it is, the Kong or the King part is fantastic, but it'd probably take Alex, 2.5 minutes. Not that Alex, you have to do it now to interchange those books. You know what I mean? Like to change the books, but it's fantastic, man. So you definitely got a recognizable logo.
Yeah, that, and the other thing is like my partner Mike, he was like, maybe the next city we go to, we climb in a city, a building in that city or something. It's very marketable. Like he could be, like let's say we're in Chicago, the Sears Tower type thing. That's really far out thinking, but
yeah, no, man. Hey, dude,
it's marketable.
I always say it's not your next step, it's your next 2 steps, and it seems like you're already thinking that. So, I think that's important. We got a bunch of people that just joined us right now. I mean, we've been going for almost an hour, but we've got Reno's Comics, we got the Dark Lord of the Sith, Odd Revenge of the Sith, we got TiVo in the house, Johnny Rosado's popping in. Who else we got? We got the NY Warriors, Biggs. We got another Sith Lordly in the house.
BLC. What's up,
BLC's in the house. We got Spider Powdered Tumblers. Just a lot of great guys watching us right now, especially on this Wednesday night. So, man, I'll tell you, Greg, you got a lot going on, man. You have a lot going on, but good for you, man, for taking on this challenge and doing what you're supposed to be doing. Man. Yeah. And that's the information on the show. You see it right there. September 25th, the Holiday Inn in Clark, the Newark area.
Jersey, baby.
Is that off the Garden State, or where's that? For those guys that don't know Jersey, I'm sorry, I don't. It's Garden State or 95. Where are we off of, Dave? Help me out.
TSP.
This is the Parkway. Yeah.
This is the Parkway. Okay, gotcha. What exit?
Stop
130, 135. This will be the
perfect.
That's
Okay,
the best way. Yeah.
That would
And
be it.
okay. And the vendors look, like if anyone's listening, like I said, there is possible potential we might have more space. So if anyone wants to reach out, maybe if there's any vendors watching and they're thinking about it, like, look, hit me up, MTG Comics, or, on Facebook, Greg, my last name's Serralo, or MTG Making the Grade Book, Making the Grade Comics. We're not opposed to adding possibly another room, if we could get this, if we could book it and stuff like that. So it is an option. I'd love to have this, be even bigger than it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, man, go big, do it. And it seems like you're definitely working on that, and we hope to be there. And we know a lot of guys are going to be there. Defects are going to be there.
We got you a table there. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait. The Pressable Deffects, they'll be there. I know they've been there. They're in the chat hanging out, and lots of other guys. So, man, you definitely got a great group of people following you. It seems like you definitely have the vision. And you know what? We commend you and we support you for doing something like this, because this definitely is not easy. And
thanks.
We need people.
Honestly, I couldn't do it without like people like you guys and the Defects and everyone who's been super supportive. Like I came out of nowhere, kind of, like I was just not that I'm anything, you know what I mean? But I like you get that support behind you, and you start realizing the stuff you can do. And I hope other people feel that with this community, if they ever feel like they want to do something, that we got your back too. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely, man. And we've been kicking it with you for an hour, and I want to be respectful of your time. And so thank you very much for taking your time. And Dave, any last words, Dave? Any last words, Dave? I know you're back, baby. You got the cave set up. Everything's good to go.
We're here. I'm excited to be back. Again, Greg, awesome, man. I can't wait for the con in September. It's gonna be good times. And that's it for me. This is a good one.
Awesome. And on Instagram, Greg, they can find you at MTG Comics, correct?
Yep, at MTG Comics. I just also started like a direct sales page, which I'm hoping to build up more. There's some books for sale on there right now, but that'll maybe be more consignment-based stuff too down the road. That's at MTG_direct.
Okay.
And then on Facebook, it's Making the Grade, a comic book grading community, so they could search that. And then I think I'm going to probably start doing like a KON Facebook like invite type thing where people could say like attending, you're interested in something like that.
Sure. Right on. That's awesome. Thank you very much, man. So for everybody, for all the people that were watching in live chat, thank you very much. For everybody that watches on this rewind, hit us up with your comments. Let us know what you thought about this video. If you have any questions, we'll direct you to Greg, but he gave you all the details right there. Remember, the 3 Men in the Basement comic book swap, May 22nd. We can't wait for this. This is going to be a great time. It's just going to be a lot of fun. And if you're thinking about going and you're on the fence, make the leap of faith. Come and show up with us. It's going to be a blast to chop it up with everybody in the community to finally put the names, the faces to all these names. Also, we've got some big boy mystery boxes coming in from Boxed Heroes. They should be here pretty soon. Like I bought one, Uncle Frank bought one, Roger bought one. Benny Beans bought one, so we dropped $400 a piece on these mystery boxes. We're going to do a live opening with you on that. I know, man, that was big, and I actually contemplated. God. I know, but you know what? The grand prize was an AF-15. Not that I'm going to win it, or who knows, but there were slabs in it. It seemed like Box Heroes really did a great job with putting those together. So that's a video that you're going to be seeing soon, hopefully live. We know that tomorrow night, Lords of the Long Box are going live with their movers and shakers. You can't beat that. We've got, I'm sure Gary's got some pre-recorded stuff. The guys on the Defects, they've got all their videos dropping. And so, you know what? Support everybody. Thumbs those videos up. Support us, the friends of the channel. You guys know who they are. The NY Warriors, Erod212, Keep It Thoro, Rocket Comics, our good friends, Aegis Comics of Alaska, Spine Ticks, who I'm eventually going to make it on, but it's too late for me, man. I'm asleep. You know, the NY Warriors, the Defects. You guys know these channels. We're all friends of you guys. Dream of August Comics, our boy Johnny Rosado, Jay Ramirez, everybody that's in there. So we're going to wrap it up. So on behalf of these three men in the basement, I am Everett Otto. That is Dave in the Cave. That is Greg, MTG Comics, King Con, September 25th. Thank you very much for watching 3 Men in the Basement. We are out. Peace.
Hey, guys. Thank you.